All right. We're back. Boy, that was easy, wasn't it? You just had to sit through that couple of minutes of commercials for the greatest thing in America. Free radio. Doesn't cost you one dime. All you got to do is sit through a commercial or two, and boom, magically it just comes right back on. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't pay for radio. You don't pay for it like you pay for cable. And radio is where the heart of liberty and freedom is in the United States of America. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. The reason it's the heart of liberty and freedom is because unlike the mainstream media, which is owned by about 6 or 8 corporations, and we're talking about all the news outlets, every television news organization, most of the media in terms of newspapers, or at least the major ones, many of the larger web alternative media systems are owned by the largest corporations. And so you're being herded. That's the simplest excuse or simplest analogy I can give you. They're using Cass Sunstein's nudge principle to keep you directed and moving in the right direction. You're being herded like cattle down a chute. At the end of that chute awaits what? Either a truck or a butcher or a sale yard, which ultimately ends up in a butcher anyway. Recognize what's going on around you. Understand how you are being manipulated. Radio is unique, and the reason it's unique is because radio is owned by, there are about 10,000 stations in the United States. Out of those 10,000 stations, fully, maybe 2,000 or 2,500 of them cover some kind of news talk. Guess what? You can't herd. It's easy to control 10 corporations. It's not easy to control 2,500 independent, mostly small businesses, mom and pop shops in the Midwest and in the North and in the East and in the South and in the West. These are, in many cases, stations that are owned by a single family. They own one or two. They might own a music channel and a news channel, or a sports channel and a news channel. These are individual businesses and people who are, for the most part, not corrupted yet by the promise or the threat or the coercion of money or power or whatever, influence, etc. And the truth is, talk radio is about the only medium left where you can find truth and honesty and information. Now, there is the internet, but a lot of folks don't have that, and you do have to pay to get it. When we're talking about free news, free information, radio is where it's at. I have a friend named Sam Bushman. He runs this program called the Liberty News Radio, and he is the syndicator for America's Voice Now. And Sam has a program he talks about, which is he who owns the new media will own the dialogue and own the tenor and the tone of the conversation. And what you're seeing is in the new media that we are all participating in, which is radio and the internet, have you noticed how much information is actually getting through the blockades that the mass media and the Ministry of Propaganda put up? Do you know why? Because freedom, like a seed, seeks to grow. If you take seed, grass seed, and you walk along a street, and you throw grass seed literally on pavement, you know what happens? Some of that grass seed falls into cracks, and it's protected, and it gets a little bit of water, and boom, it blossoms. It grows. And what we've got is a Ministry of Propaganda that is doing everything and anything in its power to keep you from being exposed to truth. That's why America's Voice Now. That's why on our news station KUNQ 99.3, these folks and our team, the Liberty team as we call ourselves, I'm working with America's Voice Now is on at 10 to midnight. After that comes Vince Finelli with USA Prepares. You can get to his website by going to usaprepares.com. After that comes Sam Bushman with the Liberty Roundtable, and you can get to his website by going to libertyroundtable.com. After that comes Joyce Riley with the Power Hour, and you can get to Joyce Riley's website by going to thepowerhour.com. I encourage you to understand what we are doing. Our goal is to break through the barriers that have been placed up. And we've got awesome stations like KUNQ, our newest affiliate, who is actually carrying America's Voice Now and carrying USA Prepares and Liberty Roundtable and the Power Hour. And this is a station that ordinarily is country during the day. But by night, they take off the cowboy hats, they take off the ball caps, and they put on a Patriots tri-corner hat. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the power of radio. It doesn't cost you 1 penny to tune in to 99.3 at 10 o'clock at night. Not 1 cent. This is a station that is recognizing their duty, their obligation to stand up for freedom and liberty and honor and dignity and ethics and morality and the Constitution as our founding, guiding, living document. I can't say enough good things about that, about radio, about the people who are carrying shows like this. No, we're not talking about some of the guys who, are the biggest in the industry. Many of them I can't even agree with, because it seems to me that a lot of those guys are carrying water for the Republican Party. This is something unique. You know why? Because I have nobody they have no way to compromise me. I mean, I suppose they could arrest me. I suppose they could falsify some kind of a charge to get rid of me. But the truth of the matter is, we are making a difference every single day. We are breaking the mold, and we are the new media. We are setting the tone. We are waking America up, one person, one body, one mind at a time. Thank you, America. Thank you for waking up from your reverie and seeing and smelling and being aware of all that's going on around you. Eyes are opening every single day, folks. Okay, I promised to get into global warming, and here I got off on this rant. But it's important for us to understand the truth and the reality of this thing. Because as we see this vote coming up this Friday, and your job, by the way, is to get on there and get a hold of your senators today and let them know that you are in no circumstances going to accept a vote from them that allows Harry Reid to dictate the rules. Harry Reid is not the vice president. He's not the president. For the House, which according to the Constitution is in charge of all financial issues, to block that bill from coming up to be voted upon, for him to play parlor tricks that would enable him to say, we can pass it not by a 60-vote majority, but by a 51-vote majority, is a shame. It shows that Harry Reid has long ago sold his soul to the devil. And your congressmen, your senators, have an obligation to vote the way that their constituencies want them. So you make sure you are burning down those phone lines. I don't care if you call once a day. One call is not enough. Call today, then call later, then call tomorrow, then call in the afternoon, then call Friday morning, and call again and again and again. Get your husband to call. Get your wife to call. Get the guys at work to call. I don't care if you hand your cell phone around at lunch break. Everybody make that call. And here's the deal. We don't want Obamacare. We want it defunded. That's it. Make it clear. Make it plain. Make it loud. Make it frequently. Here's your one chance to vote early and vote often. Legally. Do it. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. That's the Congressional Switchboard. Just ask for your senator by name. If you don't know your senator's name, I can't give you every one for every state. There's 100 of them. But I can tell you this. There's plenty of places you can find out. You ought to know. You need to know. And by the end of this week, you better know. You got people out there like Claire McCaskill in my home state of Missouri who are going to sit there and vote for this despite the fact that 71% of Missourians, 71 folks, this is before Obamacare even became law, 71% of Missouri said don't do it. And she did it anyway. Now, I don't know about you, but 71% is a massive majority. That's a mandate. That's not a suggestion. 51%, half the people are for it, half are against it. When 71% of 100 people say to you, I don't want it, you better be listening to that. And when it comes time for Claire to be reelected, which is 2016 or 17, I don't even know, the point is this. We may not even make it there. But the point is this. That woman had better be sent to retirement. She better be put out to pasture. Same goes, by the way, for Roy Blunt. He's the guy who gave us the Monsanto Act, right? How much money did he get paid for that one? My goodness. All right. I got to get onto this thing about global warming. The UN global climate, global agenda is being driven by these false and corrupted scientists who are telling us that global warming is a reality. And yet, every piece of evidence that comes out shows us over and over and over again that, one, they're wrong. Two, all the predictions that they've put together, all the projections they've put together, all the models they've built are all inaccurate. They're all incorrect. The cap ice on the Arctic is grown by 60%. I mean, the increase in ice, folks, would cover nations. And yet, we've been told, oh my goodness, global warming is here. The ice is melting. We're going to have islands covered up. All of this nonsense, all this hysterics, all the hyperbole. It's all a lie. What bothers me the most about this is the fact that science has become corrupted. These scientists, and by the way, there's no shortage of them, who have been found to have been directly, knowingly, willingly falsifying evidence. And I grew up, I guess, in a point in time in America where I truly thought science was like this. I looked at scientists and put them on this pedestal. I guess that's my fault. I looked at these people like they were true searchers for truth. Like their goal was above the fray. They stood up there above the fray seeking truth, seeking knowledge, seeking wisdom, seeking understanding. And I'm shattered to find that, well, they're just like everybody else, and they're more than willing to bend the science to meet their ideology. That just kills me. It really does. It also takes one of the only areas that I kind of felt like, we as a species had this level of purity about us, and it completely dissipates that like smoke. It's discouraging actually. And the UN, of course, is taking all of their information and the lies that they've put together with knowledge and forethought, which is, guys, that's first degree, right? If you commit a crime and you do it accidentally, it's not really, the same level of crime as if you've willfully and knowingly plotted it and planned it and, went about accomplishing it, right? The difference between first-degree murder and manslaughter is manslaughter was an accident. First-degree murder means you actually went out there and premeditatedly did it. I mean, you planned it, you plotted it, These people in science this is a first-degree crime against humanity because they are sitting there knowing that the evidence that they are utilizing as empirical evidence and proof has been falsified. Or at the very least, they've taken this information and they've manipulated it so that it could be looked at some way or twisted in some way so that it sounds like something it's not. To me, that's inexcusable. And I look at science kind of like I look at law enforcement. You know, you're supposed to be above reproach. I look at politics or politicians in the same fashion. I want them to be above reproach. Now, I know I've been sorely disappointed in that regard, and so have you. But the truth of the matter is, you know, people who act in a public arena like that, or whose facts in the case of science are supposed to be what's guiding the policy of these politicians, if they're not above reproach, where do we turn to actually, you know, get the truth? The UN is utilizing this false climate deception to go out there and create this Agenda 21 project. I know people say, oh, Agenda 21, my goodness, you got to get that tinfoil hat off. Hey, listen, it's you know what? If you say that, if you're one of those people who says there is no such thing as Agenda 21, all that tells me is that you are not intellectually honest enough and intellectually interested enough to go out and do the research and the homework to prove or disprove it to your own satisfaction. What it tells me is that you've accepted someone else's opinion as your own, and you are simply merely parroting what they say. It tells me that you haven't done your own homework because you're lazy, or you are ideologically opposed to it, and so you're unwilling to go out and look at the proof that will turn your mind around. Which, by the way, is another first-degree crime, because you're willfully refusing to look at the opposing evidence that exposes your ideas and opinions as wrong. Agenda 21 is real, and this president is utilizing Agenda 21 and the goals of it and the false evidence, the false empirical science of science to back up his claims. He is shutting off coal use in a significant number of coal plants. He's applying new rules, again, arbitrarily, again, as a dictatorial mandate without congressional review or approval. I mean, the guy is operating so far outside the boundaries of what we would expect and anticipate a leader to do. He almost is, you know, I said this during his first administration. You can no longer have a doubt that what he's doing is willful. This is not something that is like a mistake anymore. It's not something that's an oversight. The plan is the wreckage behind this man is so extraordinarily visible for all to see at this point that you can make no mistake that this man is a rapist and a pillager of the American Constitution, the fabric, the rule of law, the Bill of Rights. He's like the depiction, if you will, of a Viking who comes in and he just rapes and pillages the community and then moves on to the next one, and then he does the same thing again over there. He is raping industry. He is destroying our ability to manufacture, distribute, create, innovate. He is layering us under so much debt. I mean, look, how could you carry around a 100-pound knapsack on your back all day and still be able to function? No. But what you're being asked to do is carry a 100-pound knapsack of debt. It's no wonder you cannot function. It's no wonder 40% of America is on antidepressants. Everybody in the back of their mind smells it, sees it, tastes it, feels it. Even if they're not willing to openly acknowledge the roof is about to cave in here, they know it's coming. And this guy is living on falsity and fake science. He's using this to destroy the United States of America from within. Global cooling, global warming. I mean, why do you keep changing the name? I'll tell you why they keep changing the name. Because the evidence isn't there to support either global cooling or global warming. Now they call it climate change. I mean, talk about, verbicide, right? The skill of being able to redefine words to mean something they don't. Well, first it was global cooling, right? We're going to be in this deep ice age. Then when that failed, they came out with global warming. Then when that failed, they come out with climate change. And that way they're right either way it goes. But, that doesn't necessarily mean these climate schemes have any validity. All of them are designed for one thing: to enhance global control over the peasantry of the United States of America and the rest of the world. We're not in this alone, by the way. On this global warming front, we are in this along with every other human being that's on the planet. But you see, global warming is an excuse to develop control measures. And control measures always end up where? Doing what? Accomplishing what? They always accomplish one thing: your destruction, your enslavement, your reduction in your ability to, one, function, and two, live free. You can't function because you're layered under so much debt you can't get out of it. You can't function as a household anymore because our electricity costs have necessarily skyrocketed to the point where husband and wife both have to work just to be able to afford the car insurance and the electricity costs. And I mean, look, inflation is everywhere around us, people. A lot of that is being caused by the global warming issues that are being claimed to be truth, but we know to be a lie. All of our utility bills are climbing. The cost of gasoline. I mean, the cost of gasoline has, and everybody's so used to it now. Nobody thinks, I mean, we'll never see gas below $3 a gallon again. Let's just face the reality of that. We will never see gasoline below $3 again. And yet, this government has, in order to fool the American people into thinking they're actually doing better than they are, saying, well, there is no inflation. But what they take out of inflation is the cost of energy. The inflation calculations don't incorporate energy and food. The two areas that are the most inflation prone, the two areas that you spend the vast majority of your money on. Think about it for a moment. They've redefined what makes inflation. And they've taken out of it the two things that add the greatest amount of weight. Fuel, you got to get to work. You got to heat your home. You want to cool your home. Food and energy are two areas of our lives that we have seen the greatest increase in pricing. And yet, those two factors are removed from the inflation numbers. Well, we've only got 3% inflation. That's pretty good. If you put those numbers back in, the numbers for inflation are much, much higher. And we haven't even thrown in the Obamacare debacle yet. I mean, if you throw that into it and you add healthcare to the mix, and your cost for healthcare for a family of four goes up by $7,500, holy smoke. We're talking inflation, folks, in double-digit numbers now, well over the 20 mark. But you're told, oh, come on, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Move along, folks. It is time for us to rein in the false claims of climate change. It is time for us to rein in this president and stop allowing him to use climate change as an excuse to devastate and knock the legs out from underneath our economic, what little bit of economy we have left as a nation. I mean, we have no more manufacturing. We gave that all away to the foreigners. Everybody now is a service animal. Really? You're listening to America's Voice now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the next step in this series of events, and that's the Fed's quantitative easing debt explosion. Guys, I'm telling you, you have no idea how risky this is. The one little leaf that that scampers across the road is going to make this particular horse rear up at any time. Anything could trigger this. We'll be back in just a moment. You can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. Please find our Facebook page and click the like button. We appreciate that, and it helps you to share with us and capture all the stuff that we do and put up there every day. You can find us there by going to facebook.com/America's Voice Now. There and on youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We'll be right back.